Hello cardiology students. In this video, we should talk about one of the important muscles of the human body, the heart. The heart is a four-chambered muscle. The left and right atrium, and the left and right ventricle. But the most important of one of these chambers are the left ventricle. Why is it? Well, because the left ventricle, you can tell it has more muscles because the left ventricle actually pumps the oxygenated blood in through to the aorta, where the aorta then later gives that oxygenated blood to the human body and to the brain. But first, you guys may be asking me, what is oxygenated blood? Well, imagine this. This is oxygenated blood. Okay, and also I'm going to draw another type of blood. This is deoxygenated blood. Okay, and so these two are completely different. Oxygenated blood, they use arteries for their blood vessel, while deoxygenated blood, they use veins for their blood vessel. Oxygenated blood has oxygen, while deoxygenated blood doesn't have oxygen. Oxygenated blood could absorb nutrients, while deoxygenated blood can't absorb nutrients. And also, oxygenated blood can absorb carbon dioxide, and deoxygenated blood has carbon dioxide. But here's one thing I should tell you guys. These two are actually related. Because, let's say this. When oxygen was given oxygen to the rest of the body, they have to come back one way back throughout the heart into the lungs to get more oxygen. So they have to go through the veins, and to go through the veins, they have to go through the capillaries that are inside of your organs and your blood and your organs and your bones. So then later your oxygen blood could go back throughout the heart into the lungs. So it goes like this. Oxygenated blood comes down, then they go through the capillaries. The capillaries then later send that through to the vena cava, and that are the vena cava, and so the vena cava from this is the inferior vena cava gets that deoxygenated blood, because now oxygenated blood turns into deoxygenated blood. So then later the oxygenated blood, and now that deoxygenated blood becomes now the oxygenated blood becomes deoxygenated blood. Then later it goes up through the vena cava, the inferior one, and also comes out from the superior one, because also oxygen comes to the brain as well. Because if you watch my video about red blood cells and nerve cells, you will know that your brain needs oxygen, and also you know a lot about red blood cells as well. So then they come down from the inferior and superior vena cava, then they come out these two dots, and then they go through the pteroscopid vial, and then they go into because the pteroscopid vial, there are actually four of them inside of each chamber. There's one in the right atrium, the pteroscopid vial. There is the right ventricle. There is the pulmonary vial. So then the blood comes in, goes through the pteroscopid vial into the pulmonary vial, which then later is called the pulmonary vial because it's also gives that deoxygenated blood goes through the pulmonary artery. Then the pulmonary artery sends that deoxygenated blood through into the lungs, where it absorbs oxygen. Also because the deoxygen because the lungs, they both have capillaries inside of it. So then your deoxygenated blood goes through the capillaries, and then becomes oxygenated blood, and then goes into the side of the lungs, which then also absorbs oxygen and also releases carbon dioxide. So then as I'm speaking, I'm releasing carbon dioxide, and so then they absorb more oxygen. Then they go through the pulmonary vein. Actually, there are two pulmonary veins. There's one there and one there, so that's why there are four circles here. So then those pulmonary veins, they get their blood, and they have the oxygen blood, and then then the blood comes out through those four dots. Then they leave into the material vial, and then into the left ventricle, which then goes through aorta valve, which then the oxygen blood goes through into the aorta, which then the blood comes up into the brain, and then later into the body as well. And also, I'm going to give you guys a really good reason on why you should exercise. So, this is, I'm going to draw a character for this. This is Joe. Okay, so Joe is kind of in a weird shape because he's obesity, and obesity is when you get a lot of weight, and so inside of Joe's blood vessels inside the coronary arteries, and which you guys may be asking me, F.A., what are the coronary arteries? Well, this is the coronary arteries. Let me just draw. This is the heart, the aorta. And so as your aorta is also giving oxygen to the body and the brain, they're also giving oxygen to the heart as well through the coronary arteries. So then because the heart needs blood as well, they get the oxygen blood, and it also goes through the heart, and the heart gets oxygen as well, because your heart's a muscle and everything in the entire human body needs oxygen. And so, as we're talking about Joe, inside of Joe's blood vessels and his coronary arteries, there are these greasy yellow things called plaques growing. And so these plaques get so big that they burst. And so then your red blood cells, they get the red blood cells, they decided to go through the bursted plaques because they're attracted to that. And so then the red blood cells, they then, inside of those plaques, imagine this is like the plaque inside that has bursted, they start to gather up each other, and then they suddenly form a blood clot. And which you guys may be asking me, F.A., what's a blood clot? Well, a blood clot is when a bunch of red blood cells, they form together and they form a big red blood cell puffy ball. And so then the blood clot blocks the entire coronary arteries with help from the plaques, and then Joe has a heart attack. And the symptoms for a heart attack are chest pain and shortness of breath. And so then Joe has a heart attack, and then he could have heart failure, and that which could kill him. So then Joe sees a cardiovascular surgeon, aka a heart surgeon, and so the heart surgeon then puts these tiny tubes called stents on them. So those stents block the coronary arteries from growing, and so the plaques from growing. So then your red blood cells could travel freely and freely. But first, you guys may be asking me, well, what are we supposed to do with the blood clot? Well, a cardiologist, that's also a heart doctor as well, but the cardiologist doesn't do surgery on you, he does a checkup on you. But the cardiologist will recommend you a blood thinning medication, which then takes apart the red blood cells from growing, from just gathering into a big puffy ball. So then it takes apart all those red blood cells, so they can travel freely. And so that Joe so now Joe has to lose some weight, and so you could do this: A, a surgery; B, exercising; or C, a surgery. Joe decided that he wants to do a surgery to lose more and more weight, and so his surgery went successful, and this is him now. He decided to eat healthy food instead of every hour eating a big delicious cake. Now look at him now. He's happy, he shaved his beard, and he also has a cool haircut. So I hope you liked this video, and see you later. Bye!